So it used to be that in order to make a decision, you had to take a long time. There had to be just all this confusion. But here's the thing. What if I told you you could make smarter decisions with lightning speed if you just do 4 things? We're going to talk about those now on Unlock Success.
This is the Unlock Success Podcast. We're helping entrepreneurs around the world dive deep into the keys you need to shatter excuses, believe in yourself, and help you achieve your highest goals. Here's your host, 8-figure entrepreneur and the living legend of internet marketing, Anthony Morrison.
Hey, what's up? Anthony Morrison here, and welcome to another episode of our Unlock Success Podcast. I am excited to be able to share this message with you today and hopefully help you with some of the things that I feel like entrepreneurs struggle with. One of those things is making smarter decisions quickly, right? Making smarter decisions quickly. Have you ever wondered why some people are able to make decisions that positively affect their business or their bank account, while others can't seem to decide on a direction, right? And when they do, it doesn't really get them very far. There's actually a secret to making better, smarter decisions faster. And learning how to quickly make the right decisions for your business could be the difference between finding the success you want within the next few months and it taking years and years and years to accomplish the same goal. So here's a few ways to help you maximize the return on your decisions. That's what we're going to talk about here on this episode of the podcast. So way number 1 would be to never make the same decision twice. So many times we're making the same decisions over and over and over again. In our personal life, it looks like this. What am I going to eat for breakfast? What am I going to wear? In our business, it might look like this. What am I going to post today on social media? How am I going to reach more people today? Often these decisions can be decided on much further in advance. So when it's time to make it happen, we don't have to think twice, right? We're able to just implement and take action. My advice is to figure out what decisions you need to make on a regular basis, think about them, and then automate or document what you come up with and what the answer is to that question, right? So here's a couple of examples and some of the ways I've done it. When I was developing this podcast, I sat down and I thought through, okay, how many videos do I need to shoot every single month? How many episodes of the podcast do we need to have? What do I want to talk about? What platforms do I want to release the podcast on, right? And then my team and I, we formulated a plan to make that happen. Now, because of that, I don't spend any time thinking about that stuff. I don't think about when to post, where to post, when are we going to film, what is the episode going to be about? I don't think about any of that. It's all been automated. Now we spend all of our time focusing on bringing the best possible content and the highest quality production to our listeners, right? So I've automated that by making that decision one time. Step number 2, and this is super important, and it's very hard for most entrepreneurs. It's been very hard for me. I won't lie to you about that. One of the things I struggle with in my business, but that is letting others make choices for you. Sounds simple, but it is very difficult for entrepreneurs, right? If you ask any manager or employee what the most frustrating part of their job is, they'll probably say micromanaging. Like micromanagement, it can kill creativity. It can kill the energy. It can kill the motivation, right? And not just in your employees. Micromanaging is just as unhealthy for the manager as it is for the employees. So if you find yourself stressed and overwhelmed by your projects, it may be time to have someone take that stuff off your plate. And look, while many that listen to this podcast are CEOs and their own company, some of you are solopreneurs, right? Running your own business on the side, and maybe you don't have any resources to hire this like a full-time employee. If that's you, it's never been easier to hire a virtual assistant to help you stay organized for a few hours or a few projects each week, okay? Or even going to a place like Fiverr or Upwork to get assistance on something that might only take them a few hours to do, but could free up days of work for you, right? It's all about leveraging and getting more of your time back. Hiring an expert doesn't have to be expensive. In fact, it may even be cheaper in the long run if it frees up time and stress from your plate because now you can be more productive, right? Step 3, Tough decisions call for a decision-making process. So let's say that you're faced with a big decision, okay? And this happens all the time to entrepreneurs. Let's say your company needs to make a purchase for something way outside your typical budget. So what would you do, okay? Like, what's that process look like? Would you call for a meeting? Who would you ask to help you make that decision? Who would research the pros and cons of that decision? How would you ask for outside help? Or would you even ask for outside help in making that decision? Look, I'm not saying there's one right answer to making a tough decision, but what I am saying is that if you don't even know how you would handle a tough decision, then when the time comes, just expect absolute chaos, right? So knowing how to handle, the tough decisions before you face them is how entrepreneurs make better, faster decisions that positively affect their business. I'll give you some examples. For me, when I'm looking at investing in, say, let's just say we have different categories, right? Like we have tools, we have different advertising expenses, we have obviously help and employees and staff and team, whatever you want to call it, like those three buckets, right? We'll just talk about those three. The first thing that I do is I look at what we kind of come up with and have a monthly budget for each one of those buckets, okay? And then we define that as a certain percentage of our gross income, okay? So, for instance, if the previous month, let's just use round numbers. Let's just say I made $100 the previous month. And if I'm willing to spend 10% on my ad spend, then that means that this month I'm willing to spend 10% of 100, right? That's my cap. Now, I may not spend all of that, but that's what I've budgeted in our budget to spend, right? So if the decision comes along and somebody says, hey, there's this new ad platform. Would you like to test some ads on it? I look at how much money have we spent, okay? What was our target budget for the month? And I find out it's real simple. Will it fit within that target budget, yes or no? And if it won't, then we don't do it. It's really just that simple. And, you can say, well, Anthony, it can't be so binary. It can't be so black and white, so yes or no. But the fact of the matter is, by keeping it binary like that, by keeping it within this kind of framework that we've developed, we stop ourselves from having to have meetings and phone calls and talks and conferences about all these different things that we could be doing. And we spend all of our time focusing on what we are doing. And that's one of the things that entrepreneurs get. You've heard just the overwhelm, right? It's because as entrepreneurs, we're looking at the world through a totally different lens. We see opportunity where other people don't, right? And so if we see opportunity in this ad platform and that ad platform, all of a sudden, all these opportunities, they overwhelm us. And we're so excited about the opportunity to be able to expand and to grow and to fuel our fire and all these things, that oftentimes we go into so many places that really and truly we have no business in, right? Because we just can't help ourselves. We've got to conquer it all. And so by having that framework, it allows us to not do those things, right? To not stray outside of the path. And I think that that's a really good thing. And we do it in our business. We have specific budgets for each, like I said, each one of those buckets. And it helps us to stay on point and stay focused. All right. Step number 4 is do not neglect to take care of yourself. Look, eating right, sleeping well, regular exercise, taking some time off, spending some time with your family. These are not options. These are strategies to help your brain and to help get your brain right so you're thinking in order, right? Like you're thinking the right way. You're thinking at maximum capacity. If you've been loading up on like Big Macs and staying up till 3 a.m. and neglecting time with the people you love, don't expect to make good decisions for your business. I always say you got to treat your brain like a muscle, right? If you haven't been exercising since high school, don't expect to lift the same weights you did when you were a kid. I just tried this. I promise you it doesn't work. In my early 20s, I was much stronger. I worked out all the time. I was 165 pounds. I mean, I was living and breathing health and fitness. And then work came along. I stopped all that. And 37, I decided, man, I'm going to work out again. And I went in there and grabbed those weights and I'm like, and then I realized real fast that I was 37 and that I have not been doing this in a long time. I wasn't able to lift anywhere near what I used to be able to lift, right? So you've got to train all the time. you've got to be training your brain consistently, just like a muscle, right? Every day, train your brain to think better, to operate at like the peak potential, right? And that comes from making good decisions, all right? Now, making good decisions doesn't really come naturally. It takes time, it takes effort, it takes planning, all of these things to make a good decision really happen. But I know that just thinking through some of these steps above, like thinking through some of the things that we've just talked about, should help you get on the right path to being able to make decisions and make them at a much faster speed, right? Where it's not eating up all of your time. And then I would also say that confidence comes into play here. If you understand and have maximum amount of knowledge, just the amount of knowledge that you can consume and that you can have in your area of expertise, right? Like, so for me, it's internet marketing, right? And I never really question my decisions in our business. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm one of the more successful ones in the world. And so I know when I have a gut feeling, when something's proposed to me, if I instantly say no to it, if I instantly say, nope, that's not going to work, I'm not interested in that, I don't want to do that, that's not a good decision for us, I have the confidence to back that up, to back that decision up, right? I have the confidence in myself, in my history of doing what I do, to feel like I made a good decision. And so you've also got to build up a level of confidence in yourself, the confidence to know that when you make a decision, okay, that you've made the right decision. And that comes with time. So as you implement the steps that we previously talked about, you'll become more and more confident at the decisions that you make, and then you can make them really quickly, right? And quick decisions allow for a lot more opportunity, because as you're an entrepreneur and as you grow and as things come to you, what's going to happen is more and more opportunities come to you because you're more and more successful. And so you're going to network with more successful people. You're going to have more opportunities flying around you. And you've got to be able to pick and choose the right ones really quickly, because now you certainly don't have enough time to go through each and every one of them. So hopefully this is going to help you make smarter decisions, help you make them faster. I put this podcast together because I wanted to take a few minutes out of your day and a few minutes out of my day to give you some tips and some strategies that can help you unlock success in your life, not just in business, but in relationships and health and wellness, everything, right? These are just things that are core principles and things that, we've seen work, obviously, in our lives and in the lives of people around us. And I truly think that they can help you as well. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Unlock Success Podcast. I hope you've got some good strategies and good tips here on how to make smart decisions really quickly. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of the Unlock Success Podcast.